Hey people, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. Today I'd like to quickly discuss a suspension problem that a number of people might have to do with spring selection when they're selecting springs for the rear of their Prados. Anything from the older Prados, the 120s, through to all the latest 150s. By now you should know at 4x4 Diesel in the Prado Hospital, if there's a problem, we'll like to find a solution. If there's a problem, there's always a solution. Well, for this one, there's not at the moment, so I sort of want to just put it out there, the possibility of a solution. And the problem is, some people, they actually don't want to lift, or they don't want too much height. There's a lot of people, I've got increasing inquiries from people that have new vehicles, they're using them for towing, and they want to firm it up, but they don't want all that extra height. And obviously, like keeping your center of gravity lower is better in a lot of cases. So for the people that want maybe only 10, 20, 30 mil a lift or so, you know, a little bit like that's good, because obviously you're adding things like your bull bar, which lowers the vehicle. You want to put a heavier spring to cope with that. The standard suspension really isn't good once you put a bull bar on. And of course, as soon as you start putting a load in the back and hooking a trailer on, it's also quite soft and you'll be bouncing on the bump stops a lot. But I can also understand you don't want a massive lift. Now, this is the way I see it at the moment. Now, sorry, the other thing I want to mention is the spring idea I've got for this solution will also solve another problem, and that's with those Grandes in the 120 Grande with the coil conversion, where the coil conversion plate, it raises the vehicle about an extra 20 mil more or less. You know, depending, you know, you'd have to do a lot of vehicles and measure it to work out exactly what it is, but it raises the vehicle about an extra 20 mil or so, 20 to 25 perhaps in some cases, which some people might be happy with a 70 or 80 mil lift, but it's not legal, it doesn't look good, and you're going to get more wallowing. It's just too high, and then of course it can damage your shock absorbers with them topping out at full extension. For example, when you're coming down hills on that rough terrain, popping off rocks and they're just extending, boom, boom, boom. Not ideal, not what you want, and that's what happens if you end up too high. So spring selection is important, and I suppose that's why a lot of people come to me on a Tuesday morning, 8 AM with their text message. But it's not about that. You can do that, or you can continue to do what you're doing and go to any of the Dobinson's branches, you know, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, or if you want my customer service level, then you can contact me on a Tuesday morning at 8 AM. Now, what I'm talking about here is, in particular, the rear spring selection. The 327 rear coil for all the Prados is the most common, and to be quite honest, the 325, I don't use it at all. The problem is, because it's softer, it squashes down more easily. To get the height, it's actually a little bit longer. I think it's 10 millimeters longer, unless specs have changed. Longer than the medium and the heaviest spring. Now, what I've got to tell you is, I run two Prados with the heaviest spring, the 329. One of them's quite high when it's not loaded. It's a really awesome height. And the other one, it's actually a bit low because it's heavy. And this is the problem with springs. It's a spring. So you add weight, it goes down. You take away weight, it goes up, right? So that's basically how it works with a spring. Now, if you use that, so basically when you've got the Grande and you want to convert over from the airbags, because the vehicle's riding on air, they deteriorate, they're $500 each, whatever the case may be. When you want to get rid of those for reliability, and it's cheaper to just put the coil spring kit in and then you're done once permanently, you put that kit in and you just end up too high. So what we really need is the same spring as a 327 and a 329, maybe, for example, I haven't thought about it a lot yet, but maybe 25 millimeters shorter. And that would solve two problems, because people that are towing, that want to raise their vehicle, or don't want to raise the vehicle, they want to just firm it up a little bit, whatever the case may be. At the moment, we've got plenty of front springs to select from. We don't need any more at the front. We've got the monotubes at the front that are height adjustable, so we can calculate the height you want, add or reduce. We can put the firmer spring or the lighter spring. We can make the vehicle suit your needs, whatever you need. But the rear, we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. We've got the 325, which is too soft, too high when it's unloaded, squashes too easily. So to me, 325s, you're not really going to use it in anything. And if you did, you'd be using it under duress, because you haven't got a shorter version of the 327 and the 329. So if there was a 327 and a 329, 25 mil shorter, then we could offer that to people that wanted not much lift, keeping the vehicle lower because they want to firm up their handling. They look, a 329 spring rides really great. I've got to be honest, I've got them in both the Prados. I love how the 329 rides, gives you a firm enough ride, less body roll, less wallowing, still plenty of flex on the tracks, and it retains that load. To be honest, for me, I'll just put 329 in every vehicle if it was up to me now. I used to be scared of it. And also the 329 does sit about 15 mil higher than a 327 on a comparable vehicle. If you had exactly the same and more or less and you took it out, you see about 15 millimeters difference, not loaded, but the spring's actually the same height. So that's because it's that little bit heavier spring. So ideally, if we could chop 25 millimeters off those two springs, and obviously I'm just, slang words, make the spring 25 mil shorter. Then when someone wanted a suspension modification, look, I've done 100,000 Ks, it's getting a bit like a boat. These original springs are a bit, you can do it sooner or later. I'm just giving you an example. You want to firm it up a bit for the bull bar, so you want springs in the front, and we can give you a lower setting, 20 mil lift, 30 mil lift, no problem. But at the back, if you put in the 329s, those nice firm springs you want to use, you're going to end up with a 70 mil lift if you haven't got any weight in the back. And then you drop down, okay, well, I'll go the 327, it won't be as high. And that's good, but it's still, you're going to end up with 50 to 60 mil if you haven't got any weight in the back. And you only wanted 20 or 30, right, to sort of match the front. So that's where I'm saying, maybe that since we're going to the effort, I'll forward this video to Dobinson's and let's see what they come up with, if they come up with something. But if we're going to go to the efforts of coming up with a new spring, perhaps what there should be is a 329 that's 20 mil shorter and a 329 that's 40 mil shorter. Okay, so that way people have got the option, a 327 that's 20 mil shorter and a 327, maybe something like that. I don't know. You guys need to think about that. But what I'm saying is the same spring, the exact same spring that we make is a solution for the Grande coil conversion, so it doesn't end up too high. Okay, you understand what I mean there? So we're using the exact same springs in the rear of the vehicle, but with that conversion seat, because the diff mounting position's different, that adds another 20 mil, which leaves the vehicle about 20 mil too high. So a spring that's, say, for example, I think the best option if you're going to do one is probably 25 millimeters shorter. That brings all these, we can use the 329 on people that don't want to be that high. They're going to end up with sort of 30 to 40 mil at the rear. Awesome. I think they'll be happy with that because they're going to put their boat on, add that weight there as well. And it's still going to sit at a reasonable height, and it's going to maintain it better, and it's going to handle better with that boat or caravan on or off having those heavier springs. So I think it's really important, really imperative that these springs come out. I think it's a problem. As I said, I'm getting increasing inquiries all the time, not just directly on the phone, but people asking online on our Facebook groups and stuff like that. And it is hard to come up with a solution. They're talking to other suspension companies. Generally, they're coming up with pretty much the same information. So I think it would be a big solution if we could quite easily have an extra part number, 328 whatever, or 326, or you work that out and let us know what the spec is, because we need a solution for the Grande conversion coils, which you might think there's not a lot of, but that spring will get its use in the back of a lot of 150 Prados. It'll also suit the 120s. For anybody that wants, let's call it a towing spring. I want a towing spring. I want a vehicle that handles firmer. I like that firmer handling, right? So they're going to want the 350s in the front, the firmer spring. But even if it hasn't got a bull bar or you don't want it too high, we can drop that seat down and give you the right height, okay? So, yep. Waffle. But I hope I explained it really clearly. Really important video. So stay tuned, people. Subscribe, turn the bell on. If Dobinson's actually do this, I'll let you know. There'll be another video, we'll let you know all about it. And like I said, I'm not pushing the big suspension sales thing, but if you want my spring selection, my customer service, you want to support me for helping you, providing all the info, send me a text message Tuesday mornings from 8 AM, letting me know after you've watched the suspension playlist on our YouTube channel. So you go to your YouTube, you click on your subscriptions, you see 4x4 Diesel because you subscribed, you click on that, opens our page, you click on playlists, you go down to suspension information, you watch and listen to all those videos. Like me, I'm driving now, killing two birds with one stone, right? That's what you do. When you're driving, you listen. A lot of them you just need to listen. You might take a look every now and then, just like you look at your radio or your heater controls or your radio, like, keep your eyes on the road, just listen mainly, whatever. whatever time of the day or night suits you, work it out, get that information in you so you can make the right spring selection yourself, or I can help you with that, or any of those Dobinson's branches. I would be happy to help you out with that. Thanks for listening. Bada bing. Subscribe, turn the bell on. Catch you on the next one. See ya.